Hey there! Today I want to show you how to make honey cake, a really simple and amazing Russian dessert. That's one of my favorite desserts. It's really delicious and it's very simple to make. I will show you every aspect and detail. Now let's get to the recipe. For the dough you will need honey, soda, sugar, salt, butter, eggs, all-purpose flour. So you will need scales for this recipe. Whenever you make pastries, you have to have scales. First, beat the eggs, inside a saucepan, add a pinch of salt, 160 grams of sugar, add 80 grams of butter and 4 tablespoons of honey. Put on low heat and start heating it, bringing it to a boil, constantly stirring. Once it boils, you need to remove it from heat. Make sure to move your whisk around the entire bottom of the pan, because if you don't do this, you will have some burnt spots, which will deteriorate the taste of the dough. Starts boiling and remove the heat. Add half teaspoon of soda. You will need to prepare around 380 grams of all-purpose flour in advance. Switch to a wooden spatula. Add half of your flour and mix it. As you can see, there's no enough flour. Don't add all the flour at once because it may be too thick. So you need to adjust this thickness by adding the flour gradually. Once the mixture is too thick to mix with a spatula, just put it away and start using your hands. If it's too hot for you, you can just wait for a minute, let it cool down. I kneaded the dough until homogeneous. If you add too much flour, you see your dough is too crumpled. You can add a little bit of water or a little bit of egg, but it's better just to control the amount of flour. So your dough is ready. Now you need to separate it into around 8-9 even pieces, and I'll need scales for that. So I need around 80 grams of each piece, and repeat with the rest. Put them on a plate, cover with the plastic wrap, and put in the fridge for an hour or overnight. For the cream you will need fresh milk. In this case I'm using fresh goat's milk, 1 egg, cornstarch, sugar, butter, and 200 grams of heavy cream, 30% fat at least, but it must be cold, so I'm keeping it in the fridge for now. 400 grams of milk. Let's bring it to a boil. Add 40 grams of cornstarch, 180 grams of sugar. Now let's mix it. Don't forget to keep an eye on the milk. When you bring milk to a boil, use medium heat, not high heat, because if it's high heat it can burn. Make sure that it doesn't run away, and there is one trick you can do. Put a spatula like that. When the milk starts going up, it reaches the spatula, it will not go behind the edges, because the spatula will cool it down, and it will give you some additional seconds to turn the heat off. The milk is boiling. We're going to temper the eggs. Add a little bit of milk, of hot milk at a time, and mix it. Don't add all at once. This is called tempering. In the end you can just add all at once. Now bring this mixture to a boil, constantly stirring every second. It should become very thick. Set the low heat when it gets thick and remove it from the heat. Incorporate 100 grams of soft or cold butter. So when you incorporate, you just constantly stir it. And here it is. As you can see, the butter is fully incorporated and we get this nice homogeneous mixture. I will put it in another bowl using a silicone spatula. I recommend using a pan with a very thick bottom for this operation, because otherwise your mixture will burn. Next, take a plastic wrap and put it right on the top of the mixture. And now we need to cool it down in the fridge. You will need silicone mat, that's very important. A rolling pin. Preheat the oven at 180 degrees. Roll it as thin as possible. First, let's transfer it to the mat using rolling pin. Make it round. Use the dull side of the knife. Then make holes with a fork. You really need to do this, otherwise your dough will pop up. Make sure to leave these pieces also, because we will need them for decoration. And now put it in the oven for around 5 minutes. There is even a better way, so you can cut it while it's still on the table, because the table is solid. It's been around 5 minutes. Transfer it to the plate, put the next piece of dough in that, and that's the final result. These nice round pieces of baked dough. You will need the scrapes, do not throw them out, we'll use them for decoration. You need your heavy cream to be very cold. Let's remember the weight, 251, we'll need it later. 200 grams of heavy cream. Now you need to whip it to stiff peaks. You can use a mixer, or you can do this with a balloon whisk like me. Add the cold mixture to it and mix it together. In this case I have to use a blender because it's too thick. Voila! Mixture is very glossy and shiny. I'll use around 95 grams of cream for each layer. Prepare a spatula or an offset spatula and let's put the first layer. If you don't have this plate, you can just use a regular plate, but I find this much easier to use. 90 grams and simply distribute it. And repeat with the rest. That's the end result. There is some frosting left. If there is too much and it comes out, just don't add too much. I eventually ended up adding only 70 grams per layer, and you can always remove the residual frosting by rotating the plate. It seems to be unstable, but after you put it in the fridge for a few hours it will get very solid and it will be okay. So now put a plastic wrap on and put it in the fridge overnight in order for the dough to soak the frosting and become gentle. Put the remaining pieces of the dough in a food processor and blend it at high speed. I blended it for about a minute, 1 minute and a half. Then put it in a dry bowl. We'll use it for decoration. After about 3 hours, I removed it from the fridge. I used the knife to cut off the edges. Now, as you can see, the frosting is solid and I can use it to decorate the cake and distribute it by rotating it or just simply by moving the spatula. Make sure there's enough frosting on the sides of the cake. And here it is, honey cake. When I was little, it was my favorite cake. I always bought it in stores, it was cheap. They have a lot of memories relating to this cake, but when I make it at home it's much better than the one that I ate in childhood. Amazing. Now I'm going to serve it. And that's the final result. This cake is really gentle, super tender. I really love this dessert. So you can try this at home and I think you will like it. When you give likes and leave comments, It gives me a lot of motivation to continue and to keep making new videos. That's it. Thanks for watching.